We are live. Welcome to Just Talking on this brisk Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You may notice it's not 6 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock. And welcome to my lovely partner in crime, Aisha Adami Magueda. How are you?
Hey, Gwenda Lambert.
Yeah,
Woo.
I don't really have a kind of music. Gwenda. Okay, I don't know where that came from either. Okay, so welcome today. Today is fabulous because Aisha, of course, we have these little chats about things. Last week, we talked about limiting beliefs and how they affect us. But now is a thing that I don't think I've seen people talk about. And that is when you know that somebody else has limiting beliefs, either about themselves or about us, and how that can interfere with us accomplishing our goals. And to give the biggest example of this, there's two examples in my life that are huge. One of the reasons I got into astrology is not because I give my the control over my life to astrological things. It's because I noticed patterns in people. I noticed patterns in myself. I noticed patterns in the 4 out of 7 people that were air signs at this certain part in my life. And one of the other patterns that I noticed, and this is a big thing, is my dearest sisters, I love you both, and they're both earth signs, and I'm a fire. So what does that mean? That means that they love to plan. They will ask today on what we're doing in next June. It's not that crazy, but some earth people do like to do that. So the challenge with me as a fire, who is by nature impulsive and by nature, oh, hey, let's go do this. Now, there's a lot of times that their structure said no, and thank goodness. But when it comes to maybe getting them to move out of a comfort zone, and I'm not just using them, I'm just saying that this is an example of how, especially in sibling relationships or sometimes in friendships, our very natures can sometimes cause friction with other people's belief systems, limiting or otherwise. So I hope this is a good place to start, and I'm going to pass it over to Miss Aisha, the communication queen that she is.
My goodness. I love you. Thank you. You holder of the safe and sacred space. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, I'm going to get a t-shirt with that.
You should. And so you should. Yes. So when we're talking about limiting beliefs, and I just did, for those of you who were able to join us, thank you so much for joining the Nourishment for Flourishment session that we had yesterday. We talked about limiting beliefs and narratives around money. And a lot of that comes from our family history, what our family experienced with money, and what our stories are around money. And when you think of limiting beliefs, as we mentioned last week, that's really coach speak for a narrative or a belief or an idea or some kind of system that holds you stuck in place, that you can't move beyond it because you can't see anything more than what is in this little area. And so when it comes to other people's limiting beliefs, you can see from a money perspective. For example, if you grew up in a childhood like so many of us did, single parent, kind of going paycheck to paycheck, not being able to buy everything that you wanted to buy, not having access to the things that maybe other kids have, you might have grown up with a belief system that says that your access to money is very limited, that your access to money is very restrained. And if you dig deep into that, also, there is other things around worthiness, right? Is that I don't deserve to have good things. I don't deserve. And if you get them, then you feel guilty about having them, right? So the limiting belief when you grow up in an environment where you don't have money, which is not your fault and not the fault of your parents. So this is not about blame or responsibility. It's about recognizing where your beliefs are situated and why they're situated that way. So when we think about it, there's a degree of helplessness that's involved, because when we were children, we didn't have the opportunity to be able to maybe get a job or get extra money or help out around the house or anything like that. We didn't have that opportunity to do that. So there's kind of like a learned helplessness that we're walking around with, that we can't change what's happening. And so I offered to people, I'm going to offer here too, is that when you have a limiting belief that is impacting you from somewhere outside of yourself, then you can't, first of all, you can't change other people. You can't change the past, right? And in the current situation, all you can do is offer. You can offer to yourself and you can offer to other people. So 3 things that you want to do. One thing is you want to acknowledge what the issue is. You want to be very clear about what's happening, why this limiting belief is there. Dig down, allow yourself to see it without judgment, without blame, without saying it's all your fault, blah, 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 because it's not. Everybody is doing the best job that they can in the situation that they're in, right? So you want to acknowledge what's happening. And when I say acknowledge, what you also want to do is not just acknowledge the situation, acknowledge what you're feeling. What are you experiencing? Don't push those feelings down. Don't push them away. Allow yourself to say things like, for example, I feel really crappy about this, or I was really disappointed as a child, or I felt my needs were not met as a child, or I was unfulfilled as a child. This is all that is acknowledging where you're coming from, right? Acknowledging what's happened and how you feel about it. Now, I'm going to talk about the other 2 in just a second, but Gwen, what do you think about that?
Oh my God, so many things. That's exactly, again, coach speak. So my NLP background pops in, and that is, especially now, because as you start allowing yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling and actually dig into it, neuro-linguistic programming teaches that we're basically a computer. So other than asking, why am I here, which is a bigger philosophical question, if something comes up and it's like, do I really believe this, is one of the first things that I ask myself when it comes up. The first thing is, do I really believe this? And then, or actually the first thing is like, where did you come from? Where did that come from? And hand on heart. And why am I doing hand on heart? Because this is an anchor. This is something that says, okay, I'm talking to my heart. I'm talking to me. Where's this coming from? And then shutting up and letting whatever pops into our head. And then the next part is like, and when it does come, because it will, you have to give yourself permission. And then it's like priming the pump. It will come. This is like programming. This is a computer program. That's what our brain is. But the other part there is like, do I really believe that? And sitting with that honestly. And then it's like, And the thing that I find for me is like something will flash into my head, which could be where it's coming from, or there's, an imagery or a feeling or something else. And then at that point, I literally change my mind, right? So that's, and again, that's especially a lot of times with, maybe we did learn that from somebody else when we were a different person, when we were younger, as you said, you can't go back. But this could also be like a trauma defense, or this could also be something that came up because people around you did certain things in certain ways. And so because of that, you built up this, this protection device. So that would be my 2 sides of that, which is, again, it's 1,000% true. So.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're talking about asking yourself, what are you believing? What are you thinking? Why are you thinking this way? Because that brings us to the other element of this, which is honesty. Because what you want to do is, sometimes you have this really, in some ways it can be a crippling limiting belief, where, for example, you might say, I never have enough money. I never can do the things that I want to. And you do have to kind of ask yourself, is that actually true? Now, if you're somebody, you've got your bills paid and you're able to, pay your rent, you've got food in the fridge, you've got enough to be able to, put gas in your car or ride the TTC or what have you, right? You just don't have the money to do other things that you would like to do, then you have to think about your This is about communication, your language. What is your language? What are you telling yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself? Because when we're telling ourselves these things, we're keeping ourselves completely stuck, right? We don't allow the energy of the flow of money to actually function. And that is, again, we're taking a limiting belief that comes from somewhere else, that comes from our experience, and we're extrapolating that and we're making it something that in fact may not be entirely truthful. And that's a really important thing to remember, is when you're thinking about where is that coming from, you also want to think about the perspective. How much truth is there in this, right? Okay. So the first thing is acknowledge. So you acknowledge all of the stuff that's happening. Second thing is you bless it. You bless it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you with gratitude and love. You bless it. You say, thank you for what you're bringing to my life, because you did something for me. You served me in a certain way. You allowed something to happen for me. And even if that's coming from somewhere else, you want to bless that. With other people, especially because you can't control other people, you bless them. Blessings to you. That's your journey. That's what you're doing. And I can't, I'm going to give you the space to do what you need to do for you, but I bless you for that. So I'm not going to be angry with you. I'm not going to try and change you. I'm not going to try and fix you. Anything to other people, all you can ever do is offer. That's all. That's all. Think of it that way. In your interactions, all you're doing is offering to people, right? And then what do you feel about that? If you feel disappointed, if you feel frustrated, if you feel like your expectations are not being met, that's something you have to deal with. And here, that's not for them to deal with, that's for you to deal with. And then you can continue, you can ask, you can keep asking for what you need, and you can recognize whether they're able to give it to you or not. Okay, so then that's a blessing. You bless them, you bless yourself. And then the third step, okay, what do you think about that, Gwen? Step
Oh,
number two,
I'm
blessing.
oh, I love it. I love it. It's, and this is where it's like the attitude of gratitude, but it's not just that. Like a lot of times people reflect back to us what we're putting out there. So really, if you're getting it from somewhere else, or even if you're, they talk about the 5 people we hang around the most are the people that influence who we become. So say you are around somebody that talks about they never have enough, they don't have abundance, then part of that is like, okay, that's great. That's not what I believe. So, and it's not like you have to cut people off forever, but it's the fact that if that's where you want to be, you need to be able to, whatever you're feeding your computer needs to be consistent with where you want to be. That's my 2 cents for that.
100%. Absolutely. And the blessing part of it is also that when you're facing somebody else's limiting belief, if you're not aware of it and you're not recognizing it for what it is very easy to take it on. And then you've got 2 people with limiting beliefs that are trying to negotiate or navigate, and then that never works out right. Or that very rarely works out, or it works out in a way that doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve your goals. Right?
Keeps you both stuck.
Stuck. That's right. Exactly. So when we bless, what happens is we give ourselves permission to just be there, just observe it, just see what's happening. You've acknowledged it already. Now be in it and be okay with it, because that's just where it is right now. And that is a really tough thing to do. Some of us are, I'm a recovering control person, right? I don't control things the way that I used to when I was, 20, 25, 30, thinking that I had to control things and make things perfect and all that. Okay, all that stuff is out the window now. No, it's all about just being able to be. So acknowledge, bless, and the third thing, can you guess it? Limiting beliefs. Third thing is,
I don't know. I'm a little slow today. So yes, tell me, share with me.
Release.
Oh, love it.
It's
yes.
Release.
Makes
right?
sense. Makes sense.
Right. So acknowledge, bless, and then release it. So you want to consciously, you've acknowledged it, you've acknowledged the feelings around it, you're recognizing that someone else is struggling, you bless them, you bless yourself, you sit with it, and then slowly, because this is a process, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You're not going to snap your fingers and then all of a sudden you've released everything. It doesn't work that way. What you're going to do is you're going to slowly start to let that stuff go. And that means disengaging. That means interrupting when your limiting beliefs are happening. oh, I never have enough money, you go, okay, just a second.
Yeah.
Actually, I have enough money, or I don't have enough money this week, but that is not what happens all the time. And I also have the capability and the skills to figure out how I can create more for myself. How do I create more? Because that's also part of I say it, I've said it, this is my new mantra. Unlearning is the new learning. Unlearn it.
Yeah.
Stop yourself from thinking that way. Start feeding your computer, just like Gwen said, feed your computer different information. Give yourself more options. Give yourself other choices. Give yourself a different direction, because you do have the skills. You do have the capacity. All of these limiting beliefs, they served you in some way. Thank you. Thank you for serving me. Thank you for getting me to this point. Now I have a different path ahead of me, and I'm going to make different choices. And I can do that because I've got the skills and the resources to do so. And then little steps every day. Just take one little step and one little step and another little step. So along with this, unlearning is a new learning, is rebuild in little steps. Just start rebuilding and then let go.
Yeah.
Let go of the stuff that no longer serves you. That's my 3-step process for dealing with limiting beliefs.
Perfect.
Tell me what you think, Gwen.
Well, and that's really, I mean, I was saying that earlier. It's just that the third, I just, when I stop myself and I go, where'd you come from? And then wait for an answer. And then it's like, do I really believe that? And
Yes.
then the release is good. But just to add to that, the other thing that I do is like, I almost come up with a different statement at that same time. So it's
Absolutely.
like, and exactly what you just talked about, right? Is, how am I changing? We've lost Lisha, but doesn't she have this picture is beautiful?
I'm here.
There we go. But no, the
Thank
really
you.
good part with that is that it allows me to then go, okay, what's going on up there? Okay, is that really what I think? No. What is it I think? What is it I want to think? What is it that I want to replace this with? And I think that's the important part when you say to bless it, because that is the thing, is you have to sort of go like, when you see like, I don't know, little gremlins, my mom used to call them like little gremlins. I see you, like, playing hide and seek with a kid. I see you. So that's sort of it. You're playing hide and seek with your own thoughts. And then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I see you. Okay, no, I don't think we're going to do that anymore. And then you change it to something else. So I love that. I mean, this is all great, because that's the whole thing, is it's not just about us. It's not just about where we get this from. And the funny thing is that you have to have almost that big aha when you get to the point where you realize that you can reprogram the computer.
That's right.
Right? You have to get to that place where it's like, okay, how I talk to myself matters. How I show up, who it is. Like, it's funny when we talk about branding, this is sort of like, what is my mission statement as a human being? So it's got nothing to do with our business or anything else, or, Stephen Covey, it doesn't, but it does. Who is it that I want to show up as? And that's what's going to happen, is as soon as you have a different filter, a different reference point, then all those things are going to jump out, because it's going to be like, oh, this isn't in line with who it is that we say that we're being. And that's how it works, is it's almost like an analysis, right? When I want to be, sitting in integrity and walking the walk I talk, and something comes up, then you'll get like a little nudge that goes, hey, you're not really doing that.
Yeah.
But it'll come out in this way. Instead, you'll be saying something else, and it's like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Do you really believe that? And leaving the quiet to be able to say, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. Have a nice day. What do we want to think instead? What's our focus instead? Where are we going to direct the synopsis instead, or the synapses, when we're resetting neural patterns, neural pathways? What direction? I don't want to go this way anymore, but we've got to have it going somewhere else. And we've got to make that a conscious choice. So,
yeah, 100%. And I love the fact that you used that word exactly, which was what I was going to come back to, which is that you always, 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 always 100% have a choice
Yeah.
in how you're engaging with other people, how you're engaging with yourself, how you're engaging with the situation. And when you are very clear about who you are and how you want to show up, just like you said, Gwen, it makes your choices a lot easier, because then you realize that you don't have to fall back into the same patterns. You don't have to interact in the same ways. You can be much more grounded in who you are and who you want to be, you know? And to also just remember that changes are gradual, that it takes time and it takes practice. And what I love about um, the word practice, for example, is that practice represents a couple of different things. So having a practice means that you repeat something over and over again, right? You just do it over and over. And it's kind of like, okay, you're not doing it to be perfect. You're doing it so that you are making a new habit for yourself, right? Practice also means that so one idea of practice is that it's habit forming, right? So it helps you to make a new habit. The second practice is that you are doing it because you're not trying to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about, okay, I need to do this several times and continue to do this, because depending on the situation, I may or may not be able to show up the way that I want to right now. Doesn't mean that that's always going to be the case. It just means that it's going to take time to get there. And then there's a third one, which I can't remember right now, but we'll come back to that another time. But those are two things to remember about practice: is that it's the intention of doing things repeatedly and understanding that as we do them and as we continue to do them, that they become more second nature to us. This is exactly reprogramming, unlearn, rebuild, little steps, keep up the practice, right?
And that's like Bruce Lee, like
Yeah,
keep a beginner's mind.
100%.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Yeah. So not the Karate Kid. And so one of the other things that I wanted to, I love this. This is all perfect. One of the other things that I wanted to quickly touch on, I think we still got a few minutes till we hit the half-hour mark. And that is, there's also times when other people's limiting beliefs about us can also affect us. And that, like an example I have is that there was somebody that I used to work with, and I'm a fighter. I'll be the first one to tell you that, do I like to compete? Yes, but I don't compete against others. I compete against myself. I want to be the best I can be and do the best I can at whatever it is. So, and this was really interesting because it was about, we went to this seminar and it was about, I don't know, collaborative. Anyway, some of the keys about your communication style was collaborator, competitor, and I can't remember the other two of them, and it really doesn't matter. Because at my very nature, I'm a collaborator. I'd rather have a conversation like this and get new ideas and get new perspectives. But because somebody else, when we're talking about stuff that didn't make sense, I would say like, well, whatever. And it's like, again, so if there was no logic necessarily applied, or was something that was the answer, I would say, okay, well, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, but it's not a communication, it's a dictation, which is one thing. But the interesting part is that if that's who you believe I am, and this is coming down to even something like PMS, right? Is that, once in a while I would lose it. And then I would have people come up, oh, you get so emotional. It's like, no, actually I get emotional like once a month and I can mark it on a calendar. But thank you for, whatever people's impression of, if they're not looking for a pattern, if they're not looking for a communication with people, and that is taking all into effect, right? That's taking, how well are you paying attention to the people that you work with closely? How well do you actually understand them? But you have to be in a place, because as you talk about communication, clarity and communication is huge. I don't think I'm ever going to be perfect in that. And that's okay. That's why I partner with Aisha, right? Because she's the magic word queen, right? She takes what I say and puts it into a synopsis that's, you know, and that's what I love about it. And that's, I know that's not my strength, but I know my strength is getting stuff happening and saying the right things, hopefully in times of crisis. I don't know exactly what that is, but I know that if you understand other people's intention, and this is where it's a two-sided thing, because we're talking about how other people's beliefs are impressed upon us, but it's also how other people's beliefs and how they see us. We're not responsible for how other people see us. Does that mean that you don't try to best, as Stephen Covey would say, try to understand and then be understood? We can try the best there, but until people have, you know, again, my youngest sister one day, I remember saying, I just realized when you're asking me questions, you're not judging me, you want to know. And it's like, you're right, because I'm curious. I'm going to ask the question. I don't care what you do with your life. It's your life. But until that time, our relationship changed drastically, because she could then see how her belief of what I was may or may not have been the truth, but it definitely didn't contribute to our relationship. And so now she does say to me when I get all hyper, because I do on fire, she goes, hey, back off, get your own sandwich. That's okay. But on the other hand, she also doesn't get upset if I ask a question about something, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
She just goes, okay. I hope that makes sense. Like, it's interesting how our responsibility ends with ourselves, but it depends on how you're trying to connect in the world. Are you trying to really collaborate with other people? Are you really trying to understand where they come from, you know, and yet still keep the responsibility of them to themselves and you to yourself?
Yeah, that's 100% right. And I think that, you know, you raised some really good points there about how sometimes we also conform to the way that people think about us as well, right? So if somebody says to you, you know what, you're always late, or you're always X and Y and Z, right? Then does there come a point where actually we just take that on because it's easier than arguing with them about what they think we are, or what you know, how they feel about us?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just think, okay, well, that's, you know, fine. You think that way, then I'm just going to be that way. Right. So this is really about consciously, intentionally, purposefully engaging with other people and their belief system, and understanding that we don't have to engage with it. We can acknowledge, bless, and release it. And we can come with our own intention and be present in the way that makes sense for us and that is resonant for us at our core, right? Because that's actually what we want to do. And like you said, it is about trying to, if you can make that space in yourself to understand other people before you need to be understood, that's very helpful in terms of collaborating and connecting, because it's not about giving up your power. In fact, it's about kind of creating that space for other people to also feel like they have power. And then you're dealing with each other on an equal level, right? So, because limiting beliefs are disempowering at their very core.
For everybody involved, everybody.
Everybody, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're not getting. So here we are. We're just past the 30-minute. I love Miss Aisha.
And I love you too, darling. Love you.
We will be off until the new year, but we'll be seeing Throwback Thursdays. So we're going to be playing older editions or reposting older editions of Just Talking. Yeah. And we're going to be back with a whole new slate of things in the new year, right?
Yes. And if you have any ideas, if you have anything that you would like us to talk about or spend a month kind of delving into, please share it in the comments or DM myself or Gwenda and let us know what your thoughts are and where you'd like us to go with this, because we do it for you. So we want it to be beneficial to you.
And we do it for us because we just like talking with each other. And this way we get to do it like once a week. But no, but more importantly, we are here not just to yammer, to hopefully inspire and uplift and let people know that really it's a conversation.
Yeah, that's it.
Conversation. Keep the conversation going and we all benefit. So
That's right.
I love
Love
you.
you. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you. Love
Okay.
you all.
And
Take
we'll
care. Happy holidays. Everyone stay safe. And
happy holidays. Go
see you in the
ahead.
new year.
I
Yeah,
go.
no, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Blessings, love,
Love you.
light, peace.
Okay.
Love you. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.